been so long since I've jumped on to do a live. I've just had crazy couple of weeks. As most of you know, I had viral pharyngitis a few weeks back, so was useless, had no voice whatsoever, so couldn't do any videos. But I'm back. So the topic that I'm going to talk about tonight is really around communication. So I'm sure most of you have had the situation where you have said something that you thought was crystal clear, but somehow it just missed the mark and the person completely misunderstood what you said, and usually some sort of disagreement erupts. Now, a big reason for that is each of us come to any situation with our model of the world. When we have communication, as communication comes in, there's a communication model in NLP world, and for those who aren't familiar with NLP, it's neuro-linguistic programming. So it's a way of understanding patterns of behaviour, patterns of speech that we have, and ways of looking at it with a different lens or a different perspective. So when information comes in, we all delete, distort and generalize. So ladies, you can't say this is just a man thing, that they delete certain things that you say. We all do it. So all of us have the ability to see something from a different perspective. And that's why sometimes when we think we're crystal clear, it just doesn't hit the mark, because the other person doesn't have the same background information. So perfect example, my son, when he comes home from school, he will start a sentence, you know so-and-so, he did X, Y, Z. And of course I have no idea who this child is that he's talking about. Or he may even just start saying about something in a particular class, because he's got all the background information. He can see the setting in his mind's eye. He knows exactly what happened. And he just assumes that I should know exactly the environment that he was in, the class that he was in, the teacher who he was sitting next to. And of course I have no idea, but he does this a lot, going from topic to topic. That's just an example, and I'm sure if you've got kids, you've experienced that yourself, where they have a tendency to just get excited about a topic and they just run with it, and they don't always give you the context that they're talking about. Even when we are crystal clear and we think we've used very good wording, we've used good tone of voice, the other person has come from a completely different perspective, and that comes from their upbringing, their emotional history, their behaviour, memories, a whole lot of things will determine how they have their map of the world and how they automatically delete, distort and generalise. So there's a lady, Virginia Satir, so she worked with clients, she was a family therapist, and she worked with clients in the 1970s, and NLPers took a lot from her around the type of questions to ask. She asked some great questions, and this was about getting down into some detail. When we talk, we often talk at very surface level. There was a UCLA study done many years ago that talked about how much of communication is actually words, and that's only 7%. But even the rest is body language, but even that 7%, we're only scratching the surface really, because we talk at such a superficial level. An example is like when somebody says, how are you? A normal response is, not bad, I'm good, thanks. But of course, if we went into detail, then we'd be there for at least a few minutes to describe how we are. Now, if you've looked at an iceberg, it's used a lot in analogies with various things in business, where you've got the tip of the iceberg sticking out, that's the part you can see, and then you've got the huge iceberg underneath, that's the foundations. So really a lot of the communication that we interact with people is just that surface level. We're just scratching the surface. So Virginia Satir used some really great questions in order to dig down and get a little bit deeper and have a better understanding of her clients. Also for them to have a better understanding, because quite often we will say things and we will do things without thinking. They're just automatic and they are set up, and that's how we see the world. We often don't even question why we act the way we do or why we think the way we do. certain beliefs that we have. We don't even question why we have those beliefs, where they came from. But by asking really great questions is a way that you can avoid some of those mishaps where the message doesn't hit the spot. So some of those questions may be, when someone's talking to you, you could say, for what purpose? Or according to whom? Or what specifically do you mean? So asking questions is a way to uncover the meaning, but it also allows the person you're talking to have a better understanding of their map of the world. We often talk in abstract a lot of the time. Like I said, it's very surface level. So next time you're having a conversation, think, is this communication surface level, or is it a little bit deeper? And look at ways that you can ask some of those great questions. Again, I'll use my son as an example. So he often tells me about facts around either Cristiano Ronaldo or somebody famous anyway, usually in sport, and he'll give me stats or just blanket information that's absolute gospel. So when I ask him, according to who? And he'll say, everyone knows that. And it just keep asking him, and it sort of makes him stop and think, hang on a minute, yeah, I don't know. I'm just making a judgment here. And it's not about putting somebody in a position where they have to defend their opinion, but it's good to stop and think even for yourself when you say something. According to who? Like, I've been guilty of it, of making statements, and I think, well, really that's just my opinion of something, and you have to stop and question, where does it come from? I guess big thing is avoid trying to tell somebody what to do, or really avoid guessing what the meaning is. It's really important to ask for clarity. Even if somebody was to say at work, oh, I find John really frustrating, he's really unreliable. So rather than agree and say, yeah, I've found that as well, think about saying, what do you mean specifically? Or what does unreliable mean to you? Because the reality is, what is unreliable to your co-worker may not be unreliable to you. They could be two very different things, because you will both see the world through a different lens. By having, I guess, a sense of curiosity, it's a way to deepen your relationships as well. So even with your spouse, your children, siblings, close friends, having that curiosity and that sort of investigator hat on, so to speak, is a way to ask yourself, where could I understand more? You know, where could I ask some of these questions to uncover a little bit more depth in the relationship? Because at the end of the day, if we want to understand people who are close to us in our inner circle, be it friends, loved ones, we want to know how to ask those better questions so that we can understand their map of the world, but also so that when you can communicate with more clarity and more ease. So at the end of the day, we all want to be heard, we all want to be understood, and we certainly want our message to hit the spot. We don't want our message to crossfire and cause arguments. So that's it for tonight. If you liked it, share it out, and I will see you all on Wednesday. I'm back on again for my Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so hopefully no more illness and no more disruptions. Most of the busyness that I had to get through is all done now. So thanks for jumping on, guys, and I will see you all on Wednesday night.